Hey guys, welcome to Clockwork Noodles for your Spring 2024 overview. In this video, my top 3 anime of the season and some fun awards created by myself, awarded by myself, of course. Welcome back to the Noodle Bowl, guys. I hope you're looking after yourselves. I hope you've also really enjoyed this season. This season has been absolutely insane. There's been some fun things, a lot of unexpected little pleasant surprises, lots of things to really tuck into this season. So I feel like we have been blessed by the anime gods. Summer, of course, is no different. Please go check out my summer overview because I go through pretty much most of the stuff coming out. I'm breaking down 2 of those shows on the channel too. Both are returning, so go check out what they are. This video is, of course, going to have the same rules as before. We have eliminated the honourable position, and I am allowed to include an anime that started last season and continued this season. Potentially see that as one big long season. If it's still going on and it's still on the screens in this season, I'm taking it. Of course, that means if you don't adhere to that rule, you can just take the one underneath it and that as your winner. You can see which one technically wins like that. It's here to have some fun. And of course, next season, we're going to be celebrating most of it whilst I'm in Japan in Saga. Very excited. It's going to be a very different vibe, a very different release schedule as well, because I'll be getting it ahead of time. I am very happy to announce that I have a new laptop on the way. Very shortly, we should be able to do a bit more with Iona, and we're going to have a bit more potential to do better things if the laptop, of course, is a little bit better and it performs a bit better as well. Let's just get straight into my awards, and we're going to start, of course, with the Best Boy/Mascot Award. It's one we always give out to mascot, an animal, a pet, somebody who has just been the bestest of boys. Doesn't always have to be a dog, but this season it is a dog. It's going to Enoch from Spice and Wolf, my boy. I love him. I'm so happy he's around still, and the show did technically show him very briefly last episode. I'm very, very happy that Enoch is in my life, just being the best boy and standing his ground and protecting people and just being the bestest of boys. Go into the best fight of the season. My best fight of the season is going to go to Kaiju number 8, but it's going to go to Hoshina number 10. I believe it's number 10 at this point. The reason I'm selecting this over a Kaiju fight, and there's many Kaiju fights you can select, they're amazing, is because of the fact that it's a human versus a kaiju. Element of danger, and this guy's probably going to die. A lot of points during this fight in particular, I believed he was going to die. It is a marvel to watch. There's a lot more hand-to-hand stuff. There's a lot of having to think and be very careful, and generally a fight which has stakes is a lot more entertaining to me. But a lot of the fights during this entire anime are fantastic. I do recommend Kaiju number 8 just for its fight sequences alone. It's very beautifully handled. It's very beautifully animated. Hoshina is just fantastic to watch as well, and he just doesn't give up. It gets better and better. Obviously, it ramps up when we have Mina appearing as well, but there's also points when he teams up with other characters to try and overcome the problem. Next up, the Best World Building/Lore. This normally goes to a show where I feel all of the background stuff has had a lot of attention to detail, lots of love poured into it. It's going to Spice and Wolf because I don't think anything has built like this season whatsoever, down to the fact that we have money, we have economy, we've got talk about medicine. There's a lot of attention to detail when it comes to the world itself. Of course, it is a re-release, so I think they've had a lot of time to build up upon that. They've got a lot of solid base to go off of with the old anime original sources. So this one's doing a great job on just covering all of those more lore points. Last episode, I was definitely able to shine a little bit, telling you guys about my degree because it actually nicely fits in. I believe it has got some of the best lore out there. There's so much work that has gone into making it a very believable, realistic world where things live and breathe. But let's go to the best villain of the season. I had a few to pick from this time around, and I am going to go for Michael Jackson, aka Muzan from Demon Slayer. It's the last episode, I'm not spoiling anything, but that last episode has pretty much put him onto the radar again. He is, of course, a force to be reckoned with regardless, but he's normally kept in the background, just occasionally a few lines, he broods a little bit, but I think they know that if they put him in, it's kind of a game over. So they're kind of holding on to that card for now, because once Muzan's on the field, it pretty much would signal the end game. He is the reason why a lot of the events of this show even happen. The importance of a character that without them, the show probably doesn't happen in the first place. So without him, there wouldn't be a Demon Slayer. charming but evil in his own little way, and he's very clever, and the voice actor does such a good job of making him very calm, chilled, until he's not calm and chilled. I think he definitely deserves a place and a nod to being the best villain of this season. Now, the next one is a bit of a weird one. I've called it my best crossover, which hasn't technically happened. It's two animes airing this season that I believe would come together for the best collaboration ever. Hypothetical award, but I want to go into it and present my details to you guys. The first anime is Bartender, and I want to pair Bartender and its beautiful array of drinks and perfection with, of course, Dungeon Meshi. Could you imagine the elaborate feast that these two animes would come up with together? I think these two shows are definitely culinary delights if you are into food animes. Both shows would do the world of good. They're fantastic to watch. Bartender bringing all of the beauty in the drinks that it's making. There's a bit of finesse over there. As somebody who doesn't really drink, I have found myself at times whilst watching the show going, I really want to try that. And it's not just the fact that I find this guy hot or anything. No. There's a lot of stuff in this show that makes me realise that there's more to the world of drinks. Dungeon Meshi bringing the best in culinary delights that you could even imagine. Just imagining a collaboration with these two, I know it wouldn't really happen because one's fantasy world, one is real life Tokyo. Just in my head, guys, allow me to have this fantasy. The next award going to best art, and I think I'm going to hurt people here. I'm sorry. It's going to go to Black Butler because of the style, and it's always been a show that you could see the artwork anyway. You go, oh, I think that might be Black Butler. It's gothic, it's very stylized, it's very British. Every single frame is full of detail, love, attention. The artwork, the lighting is very good. It's a show that looks good. The plot is so for me. I don't think it's my strongest arc, but it was very nostalgic to have it returning to the screen, and the artwork, of course, being as good as ever. Lots of very nice details. The stained glass effect was very gorgeous as well. Now, the worst person this season getting a bad award, not really a bad award, but just an award in general for being how bad they are. It's going to be the worst financial advisor, going to Lawrence from Spice and Wolf. Now, I do understand that he did kind of get tricked and it all went to pot like that, but I do think the guy sometimes gambles. You're probably going to be able to make some wins, but you do put a lot on stake. I just personally wouldn't want to go to Lawrence for advice on my finances. We're going to go to best soundtrack. We're staying within the realm of Spice and Wolf, going to talk about Kevin Penkin and his work for Spice and Wolf. Absolutely beautiful. There have been some fantastic moments, especially when things really ramped up. Soundtrack knowing when to pull back, when it wants to build. Lots of very gorgeous medieval vibes, lots of original traditional instruments, lots of beautiful vocal work, which is absolutely gorgeous. When it comes to a soundtrack, if the soundtrack can also convey a story and tell a story back what's going up on the screen, it's more than just a soundtrack. It's doing its best. That's why Kevin Penkin had to do this. The second place would have probably gone to Kaiju. It has to go to Kevin Penkin's score for how much work has gone into it, and the fact that Kevin Penkin is known for being able to build worlds through his music. It definitely shows within this show in particular. The best support character, because I love talking about him, is Inosuke from Demon Slayer, because I love him and he's awesome. He's not really in this very much, but times when he's on stage, always the best comedian. Lots of laughs from me. Absolutely love the guy. He is fantastic. He's very strong as well, so he knows when to support people. I have to give it to Inosuke. He's one of my favourite supports to watch. My day gets better when I see him on the screen. Let's now go to Best Boy. Best Boy is different from Best Boy, the mascot one. This is Best Boy, somebody who's wholesome, somebody who I really relate to. It's different from the Husbando Award. This is just a very wholesome award going to somebody who I think really deserves this award, and I think it would make them smile. Is going to Kafka from Kaiju number 8. I think he's smiling right now. I can see it. Him being older, like me, they make a big hype about calling him old. He's not old. He's just slightly older than most different school animes we watch. I love his ability to just never give up. I love his ability to always find something to look forward to. He finds something to hold on to and keep trying. And even when he's stuck in a job that he doesn't really want, he gives it his all. And he becomes very good at the job that he doesn't really want. He's not going to let it bug him. He's going to try and do his best no matter what. Especially that ending as well. He has his own episode named after him. Was when my jaw was on the floor. Sanity of the whole episode, and seeing him overcoming his struggles, overcoming that depression of feeling like you're not good enough, have a goal of standing next to somebody, fulfilling that promise that you made. Kafka deserving Best Boy for me. Next up is Best Girl. We're going to go for Marcel from Dungeon Meshi. I love her to pieces. Marcel is my baby and I love her, and if I had to cosplay anybody, it will be Marcel. Stuff that she goes through, forcing herself to eat stuff, but then also being a very good support providing backup, putting up with all the crap, but also giving the crap as well. She is an absolute delight to watch on screen. I really enjoy watching it. Honestly, there's been a lot of moments where you do see a bit more of a vulnerable side to Marcel, and you go into her dreams trying to find Farlin and wondering where she is. I really think Marcel deserves at least a nod. I do think if you haven't watched Dungeon Meshi, you really should, because it is such a good show. But Marcel always makes me laugh. She's a great comic relief. I think she really does hold her own within her own show as well, because she is very powerful, and a lot of times they do fall back on her having to perform magic. She is training Laius to use magic as well. Best girl. Last award going to my husbando, of course. This one's easy for me to, for once. This was actually one of the first ones I wrote. Hoshina from Kaiju number 8. I love him. He's so great. I really warmed up to the character, and then I kind of couldn't stop thinking about the characters. It was a bit of a slippery slope, but he is such a great character. I love his upbeat personality. I love the fact that he's generally quite happy, and he is one of the people who really believes in Kafka, despite that nagging itch in the back of his brain that something's not quite right. He still gives him a chance. He still gives him a chance because he sees himself in Kafka when nobody else really gave him a chance, but then Mina gave him a chance. He is such a great character that I kind of fell in love with those wholesome traits. He's also, when he needs to step up, he steps up. Of course, he is number 2 for a reason. He's powerful, and he also supports his own ways of being traditional. Like, he uses swords in a world where there's guns, because that's what he's good at. Doesn't let it become a burden or anything. Such a great character. I love him to pieces. I didn't actually expect this one to be this way, because I would have probably put a Nosuke there because I love him. Hoshina came along into my life, and now I am happier. Those are the fun awards for the season for me. We're now going to go into top 3 anime, and then we're going to put the season to bed. The next season is going to be one hell of a season, and it's going to be a bit of a rebirth for the channel as a whole. In third place, I actually did end up binging this one in the end. Demon Slayer season 4. It's not any higher, but I do think it is slightly better than the last season that I didn't really enjoy very much. But this season has done a lot more. I've really enjoyed the training arc. Of course, the last episode, mainly doing a lot of heavy lifting here. It does start really slow. It does continue that slow pace, but there is a lot of build. There's a lot of really fun moments getting back with our characters, getting to really know the Hashira before, I guess, after this, it's not going to be the same anymore. So this is probably your last breath of fresh air before things go horrifically wrong. I love the artwork. I love the soundtrack. The soundtrack is really good. That's another soundtrack that could have technically won on the soundtrack board, but done a lot of talking when it comes to the Demon Slayer soundtrack. There's not too much that I want to say about it. There's a lot of nice theme tunes, but unlike Kevin Penkin's work, he does the whole thing. Demon Slayer, nonetheless, is still bringing it. It's still got a lot of beautiful animation going on, lots of really nice lighting, lots of nice story-based stuff going on. Very happy to award it third place, because it was nowhere to be seen on the midway, because I hadn't started seeing it. I hadn't bothered watching it at that point. I think about halfway through, when people were raving about it, I was like, you know what, I feel really bad that I'm not watching it. Here I go. So I just jumped into it, and it's got less episodes than most. It didn't take me too long to catch up. The last episode, though, is just spectacular. It's probably my favourite. Of course, it's about 40 minutes long. I do appreciate sometimes having a longer anime episode, because it allows you to pace a little bit differently. The bigger episodes, the ones which are longer, always tend to be my favourite, just because they're slightly differently paced. We're going to roll now into second place. Very happy that it's crept. It is Kaiju number 8. And I think, again, it's that last few episodes doing a lot of heavy lifting for me. I really warmed up to the show right at the end. Now, I really enjoyed the start, but then it kind of dipped in the middle. I thought the pacing was a little bit here and there. It wasn't bad. At no point was the show bad. It was really entertaining. I really liked it. I do know people who have dropped it. I mean, each to their own, but I would recommend giving it a shot. Definitely give it a shot if you're into more 80s retro vibe anime. It's got a bit more of an old anime vibe to it, which it does really well. Animation is gorgeous. The fights are really nice. There's a lot of nice character building in the show. You'll find somebody that you like and you support. For me, it was Hoshina, but I do also appreciate Kafka because he's my age. So if you are a little bit of an older watcher, you probably would get on better with having an older character to follow and relate to. The last few episodes really pulled something for me, and the announcement of a season 2, I already made the prediction that I think season 2 is going to be the better season. I just feel strongly about the fact that now that we've got things established, now that everything's out of the way, and now that Kafka can be Kafka, I think we can actually really have an insane season ahead of us. So I do think Kaiju number 8 deserving its place and deserving the climb and finally being on the list. However, if you have done your maths, you know what number 1 is. Number 1 is still Dungeon Meshi for me, because the story is just so solid. It doesn't stop giving. Every single episode is on the beats. There is always something going on, especially with a plot like Dungeon Meshi, where if handled wrong, it could be very boring and repetitive. However, none of those episodes have been boring and repetitive. Every single one has brought something new. It's also a show very cleverly hiding a very dark story. The show looks happy and, there's lots of food going on. And that's also a win for my heart because I love culinary animes. And I also like a bit of slice of life. This is a slice of life, but it's not. It has those slice of life beats at times, but it's action. It's kind of spooky. There's a mystery going on. It's a bit of a fantasy. And there's a very dark undertone to a lot of the show that I think is just fantastic. There's beautiful comedy. If I'm drinking during watching this show, if anything gets spat out at some point because somebody's made me laugh. And there have been some real memeable moments, some moments where people are going to meme that afterwards. Dungeon Meshi has just been an absolute delight to watch. It's one of those shows where, like Apothecary Diaries, I think that won for 2 in a row. This one's also run for 2 in a row. And honestly, I think at this point, it's probably going to be those two gunning for the anime of the year, but we'll see how that goes. Honestly, both shows have just been an absolute pleasure to find. I'm so much richer for having the anime in my life. I've really enjoyed Dungeon Meshi. I really cannot wait for them to do another season, do something with it, because normally I don't back the Netflix ones, but this one's just had so much going for it. I've really enjoyed every minute of it. If you haven't given Dungeon Meshi a shot, you can now binge it. So go ahead, binge it. You are in for one hell of a treat. So happy that this season has been the way it is. There's been a lot going on. There's been a lot of pleasant surprises. The bartender show was actually pretty decent. So the last episode for me, it fell down a little bit, but the score seems to suggest that it's actually slightly higher than the original, so that's always a win. Things like Spice and Wolf, I'm glad that I've picked up. Great time watching it. Very excited to see where that show goes next. There's been Sound UFO this season as well, which is really good. Bittersweet ending though. Real bittersweet ending on that one. That's a very beautiful anime if you want to go check out an anime about music. There is so much really good stuff going on. I had a bit of a taste of horror with the mysterious disappearances. Wasn't full horror or anything, but I just wanted that little lick because I never get a decent horror anime. I don't think there's any horror anime coming out this coming season either. It's just very rare to find a horror anime when it is, so I do try to watch them. But that really is a wrap up for the season as a whole. It's been a fantastic season. I've really enjoyed it. It's gone really fast. I can't wait to see the next season. Bear in mind with the move to Saga, there is going to be some bumping around. I do think both of the two shows get knocked about a little bit, but we will continue and I will catch up if anything is missed and do our best to make sure that you're not without content. Because I am now off, I am going to be building content a little bit. I'm going to be doing some recordings. I'm going to make sure that I've got stuff coming out whilst I am doing the big move and getting myself set up. I do think the internet situation is going to be 3 days at most because I know what I'm going for, but it's going to take a few days to set up. Stay tuned. I do have other social media platforms you can kind of follow. There is a blog. Go check out the blog. That should be somewhere in the comments as well. A coffee account. That is my Instagram if you want to get some pictures. I haven't actually updated that in a very long time, but once I get over to Japan, I will. So there's a lot of things that you can stay tuned with. Keep an eye on the community tabs because I do try my best to actually post every so often if there's a delay. Thank you guys so much for really supporting me. If you have found me this season, thank you so much. I've honestly had an amazing time doing this channel, and now that I can finally do some more stuff with it, I've always had a dream of doing more with you guys, doing streams, doing better things, and I think with the new laptop, the new tech coming in, I think it's time to be able to do more. And I really do thank the people who have made it a possibility, because there's somebody out there who has donated. They have really just given me that boost I've needed to actually get a kick up the butt and do this stuff. Look forward to new content, and I really hope you guys can continue to support me. Let's look forward to a new season. Have a great day, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.